Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Diamond and I lost over 65 pounds with the information that I'm sharing with you, and I'm here to help you lose weight and reclaim your health. So in today's video, I really wanted to touch on a lot of the common mistakes that I see beginners in keto making, and not even just beginners, but just people in general that do keto. A lot of the time people make these mistakes that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and I made this video because I just want you guys to avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made when I first started. And these are things that will actually hold you back, that will stop you from seeing weight loss or seeing the true benefits of a keto diet. And I did write a list because I didn't want to forget anything. So yeah, let's get straight into number one mistake that I see people making on keto, which is consuming hidden starches and unhealthy starches unknowingly. So a lot of the time, people that start keto, they start off by eating a lot of keto-friendly, supposedly keto-friendly packaged foods. So like branded foods that say keto-friendly on it, like the Atkins and things like that, and a bunch of other things, the keto breads, you know, the keto white bread that is a bunch of garbage in the actual ingredients list, right? But a lot of the times people are consuming these things thinking that they're keto-friendly because of course it says it on the label. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make on keto is actually trusting the US food industry to tell you the truth. Just because something says keto friendly on the front label does not mean it's actually keto friendly. So remember, like I told you guys, the US food industry, they cannot be trusted. And so what they like to do is actually hide a lot of starches inside of the keto friendly branded foods. So like majority of the things that say keto friendly on it in the grocery store, all garbage, majority. Like I would say 85%. I rarely ever find something that, you know, says keto friendly on it that I would actually consume, okay? So you have to be super, super careful with the keto friendly branded foods. You don't really want to be doing too much with the prepackaged foods. And you have to not only that, but also be mindful and know how to read an ingredients list. Never just look at the nutrition facts where it says how many carbs and how many sugars. That is another major mistake that kind of goes into what I was just saying. A major mistake people are making is they're not looking at the ingredients. They're only looking at the carbs and sugar amount on the back of the label. They're not reading the ingredients, and they don't know how to read an ingredients list. When you don't know how to read an ingredients list, that's exactly how they get you, because there's hidden sugars and starches in there. There's hidden starches in there where they don't classify it as a carbohydrate. So they can say, oh, only 2 grams of net carbs. Meanwhile, there's something in there that is still raising your blood sugar, still raising your insulin, still negatively impacting your health, but technically it doesn't classify as a carb, so they can say it's low carb. They can say it's keto friendly, but it's actually still having the same impact as sugar and starches, if not worse. So you need to know how to read an ingredients list. You don't need to just be looking at the carb amount and the sugar amount, and that's a huge mistake. Now, for those of you that already have my sugar rehab course, you know how to read an ingredients list because I did a whole entire lesson on this. And not only that, but I also put a cheat sheet in there so that you can have a cheat sheet when you go grocery shopping, so you can see which ingredients to avoid, which hidden starches are in a lot of these keto-friendly foods that you have to avoid. So I put a whole cheat sheet on alternative sweeteners and starches that are safe versus unsafe, so that you know what to eat and what to avoid, so it can make it so much easier for you guys, so you don't have to go through that trial and error like I did. So if you guys are interested in that and you're interested in the sugar rehab course, the link is going to be down below in the description. But yeah, you have to be extremely mindful of the starches, the hidden starches that are in there. These things are not safe. Just because it only says 2 grams of net carbs does not mean it is safe on keto. You have to know how to read the ingredients list. Now, number two mistake that I see a lot of people making on the keto journey is they are not realizing that you have to be strict in the beginning. So when you first start with keto, right? A lot of the time I see people make the mistake of thinking that they can gradually transition into keto, right? Or, you know, they can let themselves have a little something and then, you know, go back on it, or whatever the case may be, or they'll have a little dessert but just keep it under 50 grams or whatever. I personally would never recommend that. I think you should do cold turkey. I personally do think that you have to be super, super strict when you first start keto. And the reason why I say that is because your body needs to get acclimated to keto. It actually takes a few weeks, quite a few weeks actually, for your body to get into a state, what is called fat adaptation. And fat adaptation is basically when your body is naturally trained to use body fat as energy rather than using sugar or glucose as energy, right? So when you want to get into a fat adaptation state, when you want to get into a state of fat adaptation, you have to be extremely strict on keto, because when you let yourself have a little bit of sugar here and there, you let yourself have a little bit of carbs here and there, what that's telling your body, it's basically confusing your body. Your body's trying to get into a state of fat adaptation, but you're having a little bit of ice cream over here and a little bit of cookies over here, even if it's just a little bit. You know, that confuses your body. Especially in the beginning, you have to be extremely, extremely strict. Once your body becomes in a state of fat adaptation is when you can kind of loosen up a little bit. But I think a huge mistake that beginners make is that they think that they can get away with a little bit of sugar really early on in the journey. No, you cannot. You have to be strict because your body's already used to burning sugar, right? So when you're trying to transition into fat adaptation, you're doing keto, but your body's used to burning sugar. Even a little bit of sugar can set you off and set you back into burning sugar because that's what it's used to. It hasn't gotten to a state of fat adaptation. Fat adaptation is when your body has developed enough enzymes where it's already automatically prepared to burn fat for energy. So even if when you're in fat adaptation, even if you do have a little bit of sugar, it knows how to automatically burn that sugar and go straight back into burning fat for energy, right? But if you're not in that state yet, you have a little bit of sugar, you might get off track. Your body might say, oh, we're burning sugar again, you know, and you're not giving your body enough time to go through that transition. Keto is a transition. You're transitioning your body from one state to another state. You're transitioning your body from, you know, having the body and the metabolism of a fat person to having the metabolism of a naturally thin person. That's what you're doing. But when you keep going off or you keep letting yourself have a little bit, you're confusing the situation. And that actually leads me to my third point, which is the third mistake that I see a lot of people making on keto that needs to stop is getting on and off, going on and off. That is the worst idea. One of the things I see people do is they do keto or low carb for 6 days out the week, and then 1 day out of the week they'll have sugar and they'll have a bunch of garbage, right? That is a huge mistake, and this is why. Because when your body is trying to transition to using body fat for energy, right? But you keep knocking it off by eating sugar. Every single time you restart keto, now you're lightheaded. Now you're tired. Now you're having a hard time sticking to it. Now you have cravings because you didn't, like I said earlier, you didn't let your body get to a state of fat adaptation. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is what makes keto hard, when you don't stick to it and you don't stay on it. You go on and off. You cannot go on and off. Keto is not something that you need to be going on and off. Your body, not only is your body confused, but it's trying to use fat for energy and it doesn't know how to because you keep knocking it off, right? And then when you knock it off and you eat sugar, right? You're telling your body to use sugar for energy, and then you're not feeding it the sugar that it needs. So now you're tired, now you're lightheaded, now you're having a hard time sticking to it, now you have cravings. And that keeps happening, and that keeps happening because you're going on and off. You have to stick to one thing. Are you doing it? Are you on it, or are you not on it? You cannot go off and get back on, 1 day a week and have sugar and then cut it out for a while, because you're going to be lightheaded and it's not going to feel good. I promise you. So that's pretty much it, you guys. If you guys have any other questions, definitely leave them down in the comment section down below. I love to hear you guys' thoughts, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.